Welcome to DopeBets.
We're going to win so much.
Please subscribe and like this video for more CFL and other sports betting picks. I know a lot of you miss the NFL and college football right now, but at least you can watch and bet on Canadian football in the meantime. I personally like betting on CFL football because it's always exciting with evenly matched competition. With that being said, we'll be going over this week's Canadian football games that are scheduled for this weekend, CFL Week 12. But first,
Not so fast, my friend.
let's get a quick recap of the previous week's CFL action from Week 11.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
First, we had the Ottawa Redblacks at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The first game of CFL Week 11 was a great one. Although the Redblacks started to make a second half comeback, the Blue Bombers were able to hang on and secure a victory. Winnipeg went in at halftime, winning by a score of 20-3. The Redblacks offense came alive in the second half and outscored Winnipeg, but they unfortunately didn't have enough to make a full comeback and win the game as their starting quarterback Drew Brown left the game early due to an injury. Blue Bombers wide receiver Nick Dembski balled out with 6 catches for 128 yards. I had said the Bombers would win this game, and they did just that. A final score of 30-27. The second game of CFL Week 11 was between the Toronto Argonauts and the Edmonton Elks. The second game of CFL Week 11 was an entertaining, hard-fought battle. Both teams kept the game very close right until the end when the Edmonton Elks were able to capitalize off of the usual mistakes by the Toronto Argonauts. The Elks outscored the Argonauts in the fourth quarter by a score of 12-3 as they were able to secure the victory at home. Edmonton Elks running back Justin Rankin was a force to be reckoned with as he rushed for a tough 92 yards and had an additional 87 yards receiving. Once again, another successful bet on the Edmonton Elks. The third game of CFL Week 11 was between the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The third game of CFL Week 11 started out with the Hamilton Tiger Cats having all of the momentum as they held a small lead after the first quarter. This had me on edge as I had picked for the Roughriders to win this game. Fortunately, the Riders and quarterback Trevor Harris finally got things going and completely took over the game. Harris threw for his usual 300 yards as Saskatchewan won this game 29-9. The Riders defense had the Tiger Cats quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell under pressure all game as they sacked him a whopping 6 times and came up with 2 interceptions. Yet another successful bet this weekend. The fourth game of CFL Week 11 was between the Montreal Alouettes and the BC Lions. The last game of CFL Week 11 started slow. Both teams seemed to go back and forth trading field goals. Eventually, the BC Lions and quarterback Nathan Rourke started to generate some offense, which led to putting some points up on the board. Rourke ended up throwing for almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. I'm starting to actually feel bad for the Montreal Alouettes as the injury bug continues to haunt them. They ended up losing yet another quarterback in this game due to injury. Unfortunately, the Alouettes had to finish this game with another backup quarterback under center, but fortunately for us, this was yet another winning pick that we predicted to happen. So to recap CFL Week 11, if you had followed all of my picks from the last video, you'd have gone a perfect 4-0 again this week. We were able to capitalize on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers winning over the Ottawa Redblacks. Then we watched the Edmonton Elks and Cody Fajardo pull off their second straight victory. Third, we witnessed the Roughriders handle the Hamilton Tiger Cats in convincing fashion. And lastly, we cashed on the BC Lions as they took care of the injured Alouettes. I was pretty confident this weekend as I had actually won on a 4-leg parlay for all the CFL games this weekend and it hit. That's now 9 winning CFL picks in a row with back-to-back perfect weeks. After an action-packed CFL weekend, we have 4 exciting matchups to break down and make a moneyline pick for this upcoming CFL Week 12, so let's get it. The first game of CFL Week 12 will be between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Montreal Alouettes, Thursday night, August 21st. The Montreal Alouettes have a serious problem. They have continuously fell victim to the injury bug. The last game they saw their third-string quarterback go down with an injury, leaving them to rely on their fourth-string quarterback under center. It seems like they will have to suffer for a little bit longer, which is causing their defense to be on the field a lot. The Alouettes are in big trouble at the moment as they have now lost 3 consecutive games. After a victory over the Redblacks last week, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers come into this game with a 5-4 record. The Bombers have had a problem with finishing games in the fourth quarter this season, but their offense has put up a bunch of points with quarterback Nick Arbuckle at the helm. Their defensive line is one of the toughest to block with superstar Willie Jefferson on the defensive line. They'll look to get a lot of pressure on whoever suits up for the Alouettes at quarterback. For the first game of CFL Week 12, I'll be taking the Winnipeg Blue Bombers over the Montreal Alouettes. The Alouettes simply have too many injury issues going on within their locker room, especially at arguably the most important position on the field, quarterback. If the Blue Bombers can get off to a fast start and start hanging points on the board, I don't see any reason why Montreal could win this game. Give me the Blue Bombers on the road. The second game of CFL Week 12 is between the Edmonton Elks and the Ottawa Redblacks, Friday night, August 22nd. Ottawa comes into this game at a disappointing 3-7. The secondary gives up a lot of big plays through the air. The offense is also notorious for starting slow and being heavily outscored in the first quarter. The Redblacks do have a decent veteran defensive line, with Lorenzo Malden being the leader of that. Ottawa does have a gunslinger quarterback in Drew Brown who relies on an elite veteran receiving core. The Edmonton Elks come in this week with a disappointing 3-6 record. However, they are currently riding a 2-game winning streak with victories over both the Montreal Alouettes and Toronto Argonauts. Elks quarterback Cody Fajardo has played with much grit and has put the team on his back for the last few weeks now. Although he has a terrible offensive line, Cody has been able to pass for over 250 yards and multiple touchdowns in every appearance this season. For the second game of CFL Week 12, I'll take the Edmonton Elks to defeat the Ottawa Redblacks. I don't believe the Redblacks have the defense to stop the playmaking ability of Cody Fajardo. The Elks have grinded out some tough wins over the last 2 weeks, and I believe they'll extend their winning streak to 3 games this weekend. Give me the Elks on the road. The third game of CFL Week 12 will be between the BC Lions and the Toronto Argonauts, Saturday night, August 23rd. The Argos come into this game at a very disappointing 2-8 record. The most difficult thing about this is the fact that they have many blown leads which have led to losses, sometimes even giving up double-digit leads. The offense is led by quarterback Nick Arbuckle and superstar wide receiver DeMonte Coxey, who can single-handedly take over a game with his tall body and frame. Toronto does have a decent linebacker group led by Wynton McManus and the secondary led by cornerback Tavares McFadden. The BC Lions come into this game with an even 5-5 record, but they are currently riding a 2-game winning streak against both the Hamilton Tiger Cats and Montreal Alouettes. They either put up a bunch of points or they don't. The Lions are a very streaky team. Quarterback Nathan Rourke has been putting up record numbers through the air. Last game he threw for almost 400 yards. The defense is vulnerable at times against the pass, but they are still a tough unit led by stud Micah Alway. I know a lot of people are going to bet for the BC Lions to win this game, but I'm going to do the opposite and go with the Toronto Argonauts to win this game in Week 12. I think it's a big letdown spot for the BC Lions. The Lions had problems getting started early against an injured Alouettes team, and although they won the game by 18 points, it still didn't exactly feel like they dominated a game that they were supposed to. The Argos are a team that puts up points fast and early. Not to mention, the Argos have won the last 6 out of 10 games against the BC Lions. I'll take the Argos to get a victory in front of their home crowd. The fourth and final game of CFL Week 12 will be between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Calgary Stampeders, Saturday night, August 23rd. This is also part of a doubleheader for the day. The Calgary Stampeders come into this game with a 6-3 record and are in second place of the division behind the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They are coming off of a bye week and a victory prior to that in their most recent match. The Stampeders have a stacked defensive unit and can match up with any team at any position on the field. The offense is led by superstar quarterback Vernon Adams, who has had an amazing season despite missing some time earlier this season due to injury. The Roughriders come in this game at 8-1 and are currently rolling on a 4-game winning streak. They have been virtually unstoppable in every way possible, whether that be running the ball or through the air. Riders quarterback Trevor Harris is certainly looking like an MVP with the way he is playing this season. And don't forget about his reliable receiver in Dante Myers, as the two have become a dynamic duo. To be honest, I'm not sure when the Riders will ever lose again. For the last and final game of CFL Week 12, I'll be taking the Saskatchewan Roughriders to defeat the Calgary Stampeders. Yeah, the Stampeders have power on both sides of the ball, but they've shown to be inconsistent at times when it matters the most. The Stampeders are 3-2 at home this season, while the Riders are undefeated on the road this year. The Riders' defense also seems to step it up when they're going against some more talented offenses. Give me the Saskatchewan Roughriders on the road. That's all my CFL picks that I have for you today, so let's get a quick recap of our picks for CFL Week 12. First, we'll be taking the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to handle business against a very injured Montreal Alouettes team. Next, we'll be picking the Edmonton Elks to get their 3rd win in a row when they go on the road against the Ottawa Redblacks. Our third pick for CFL Week 12 is for the Toronto Argonauts to win at home and cool off the BC Lions a little bit. The last pick of CFL Week 12 is for the Saskatchewan Roughriders to shut down the Calgary Stampeders and secure a 5th consecutive win. Hopefully we'll have another exciting week of CFL football and winning bets. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoy this type of content and comment below your CFL Week 12 picks. I'd love to hear them. Thanks again for tuning in this week to DopeBets. Subscribe for more upcoming sports betting content.
I got you, homie.